9:41 p.m. right now. So like honestly, everything is going great.
Guys, we're almost at 100K. Like, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
You guys can make my dreams come true if you just tap those screens, and we got like 2K left to hit
10
100K.
galaxies. Go broke. You were right there. We're so voted for flat earther.
Damn, that's crazy. Okay.
Wild. It's wild to me.
But okay, yeah, our next debate is going to be Yuji versus the Hierophant. Does God exist objectively? Looking forward to this one. Both are very incredibly bright individuals, and I can't wait to see like what arguments that they bring to the table. We're just gonna follow the regular format: 3-3, 5-5, 5-5-5, and 2-2. And unless you guys are wanting to do 3 minute,
No, I'm good with the current format.
Okay, yeah, that will work perfectly. We're on time anyway, so I guess we can get started now with 3 minute openers. It's going to be the affirmative. Does God exist objectively? So the Hierophant, you're going first, and you can start anytime.
Sure. So for the argument in question, does God exist objectively? I could present an argument from the principle of sufficient reason. I could also present an ontological argument, but for the sake of simplicity, I will merely present my argument in both a modus ponens and a modus tonens from contingency. And so if contingent beings exist, then there must be a necessary being. And since contingent beings exist, a necessary being exists. If a necessary being exists, it must possess attributes like eternality, self-existence, and independence. And since a necessary being exists, that necessary being possesses these attributes. If a being with these attributes exists, it can be identified as God, and such being that these attributes exist, that being can be identified as God. We can also do this with the modus tonens, which is reasoning through negation. In which if contingent beings exist without a necessary being, then their existence would have no sufficient explanation. And it is not true that contingent beings lack a sufficient explanation. Thus, contingent beings cannot exist without a necessary being. If there is no primary cause, then the universe would lack an ultimate explanation for existence, and the universe does not lack an ultimate explanation for existence, so the primary cause exists. If the necessary being does not have the attributes of God, then it cannot be identified as God. The necessary being does have the attributes of God, and so the necessary being cannot be identified as God. This simple argument addresses any possible rebuttals that may exist against the principle of sufficient reason or any ongoing ontological argument. It highlights the indispensability of a necessary and primary cause to account for contingent reality, and also to avoid infinite regress or explanatory gaps. And so, if this being exists, it exists objectively, and I cede my time.
Okay, and you had 26 seconds left on the clock. Yuji, you will get your 3 minute opener. You can start anytime.
Okay, I'll be pretty quick, but um, I'm just coming from the position that God does not exist. I take the position of local atheism, which is that I negate the fact that one type of God exists, and it's my opponent's job to justify the fact that there is not only a necessary being, but there's a necessary being that has the properties of like a classical God. And I want to make a note that I think it's important that it has to have at least some mental properties in order for, because I think under atheism, you can have like a necessary entity that's just like an object or that has causal powers, but doesn't have mental properties. So yeah, I'll finish. So
Okay, that is perfectly fine. That works. You had like 1 minute and 49 seconds left, but we can move on to the cross examinations. Um, the first cross examination is going to be Hierophant. You'll be leading the cross examination and asking the question. So you've got 5 minutes, and you can start whenever you want.
Sure. I would like to take my time to address the question in which Yuji asks, has this necessary being what their properties would be? And so I would present that as from the argument of principle sufficient reason. And the PSR posits that everything exists must have an explanation, either in the necessity of its own nature or as an external cause, I believe. Contingent beings, those whose existence depends on external factors, require an explanation outside of themselves, leading to the need of a non contingent and necessary being. Um, and then we can also address cosmological evidence. The universe appears to have a beginning, as indicated by the Big Bang Theory, and this implies a transition from a state of non being to being, which cannot occur without a causal agent. And so the primary cause must exist outside of space time to be the initiator of such an event without itself being caused. And so from that, we can begin to render those characteristics. The first being necessity, being that it cannot not exist, that the essence of its existence is to exist, that it is both timeless and spaceless. As the cause of space and time, it would exist beyond them. It would be immaterial, being beyond the physical realm. It must be non-physical. And then to satisfy your question of capacity and intelligence would be supreme intelligence and power, because as we've looked at within our understanding of a cosmological model, we can infer a certain degree of fine-tuning to the universe, and its complexity would suggest that the cause is not only powerful but intelligent. And so my question is like, in light of even the, do you have a reductio or a counter to the modus ponens that I addressed in the beginning of my statement?
what's the modus ponens?
The modus ponens was um, contingent beings exist, and so if
Contingent
contingent
beings
beings
exist.
exist, those beings require a primary cause.
Yeah, I would want an argument for the second statement there that all contingent beings require an explanation.
So, like, if contingent beings exist, there must be a necessary being, correct?
No, I'm saying because you're
All right, so I'm
saying
reclaiming my time. Um,
okay.
can you give me an example of something that exists that is not contingent upon an antecedent?
No.
So, all things are contingent, correct?
Well, if I can't give you an example that doesn't fall from that all things
I
are
would need a
contingent.
symmetry breaker for my first position to be untrue, correct?
No,
Why?
because if you claim something is true and then I fail to provide a defeater for that, it doesn't mean because I fail to provide a defeater for that that your claim is true. You would have to justify that yourself.
That's the point of the modus ponens. If contingent beings exist and we cannot provide evidence to the contrary, then there must be a necessary being for those contingent things to exist.
I wouldn't
And
accept
so
that.
our assertion is that that a necessary being exists.
Well, I just wouldn't accept that. Wait, you said that the contrary is impossible?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the
but
inverse is not true.
the question is why is the contrary impossible?
Why is the contrary impossible?
Yeah. Why is it impossible for there to be a contingent being that's not explained?
It's a good question.
Yeah. Um. Okay. What about the one of the other topics that you want to talk about? Did you want to talk about like fine tuning or something?
I mean, we could talk about it from a position of fine tuning,
Okay.
or whatever. I honestly don't care.
Okay.
We can talk about it ontologically from the existence of moral agents.
Okay.
Uh,
Cross examination up. Yuji, now you have 5 minutes to cross examine the Hierophant. You can start anytime.
Okay. I'm honestly just fine. Just starting where we left off. So, what were you saying about some ontological existence?
oh, so like we could talk about the axiomatic nature of a necessary existence.
The
Um,
axiomatic nature of a necessary existence?
mhm. As a supporting argument for God existing objectively.
Okay.
Some moral agents possess inherently the capacity to recognize self evident truths, such as logical principles and moral realities. Among these self evident truths is the recognition of a necessary being as a grounding for all contingent existence. The very concept of contingency, things that could fail to exist, implies the necessity of a foundational being whose existence is not contingent.
Wait, hold up. Okay, so what's the first premise?
The first premise is that you exist.
Okay, I accept that premise. What's the second premise?
And so, if you exist, there's a reason why you exist.
If I exist, there's a reason why I exist.
Yeah, there has to be an explanation for your existence.
There has to be an explanation for my existence.
Mhm.
Um, okay, I'm gonna accept this principle, even though I would be skeptical, but okay, so what's the third premise?
Oh, man. I wasn't planning to run Alethia's. Um,
Oh, I'm sorry, bro.
that's okay. Uh, you exist, and therefore, there's a cause to your existence. If there's a cause to your existence, there's an ultimate cause, rendering it a primary cause and uncaused.
Okay, wait, so if I exist and there's a cause to my existence, therefore there's an ultimate cause?
No, I really wasn't planning on running Alethia's at all.
It's okay, bro. Okay,
Yes,
how about I could run it, or if you want to stop, we can. Otherwise, I could run an argument instead.
you can do what you want.
Okay, okay, because I was
Your
actually
time.
planning.
You do whatever you want with your time, dude. I can't tell you what you can and can't do with your time.
How much time do I have left, Coco?
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Mm, okay, I really don't know what to do, honestly. Um,
Someone could. Well, I don't know where to go from here. It's up to you guys.
yeah, I feel bad. Okay,
Don't feel bad. Like you're, I think you're doing fine.
okay, thank you, bro. You're
Yeah.
doing good too. But okay, how about yeah, I'll just start running an
I
argument.
don't care about winning or losing a debate, dude.
Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna start running an argument, and then maybe I can run it in your time if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay. So I actually prepared an argument for this debate, but I realized that I was not the affirmative, so I just thought um I would critique his arguments. But I'm glad I did now. Okay, so the argument that I prepared is called the low priors argument for local atheism from Paul Draper. Okay, and essentially this argument is to show that the probability of omnitheism is, before looking at the evidence, is lower than the probability of source physicalism, which is just an atheistic hypothesis. And if you compare those two before looking at any evidence, the prior probability of omnitheism is very low. And then after looking at all the evidence, um, both of the hypotheses don't seem to like beat either out. And then So at the end of it, it just seems that omnitheism is much less probable than at least one atheistic hypothesis, and from that you can infer that omnitheism is likely false. Okay. Um, the form of the argument, um, I just took straight off of philosophy SCP, which goes like the relevant evidence does not favor omnitheism over source physicalism. Source physicalism is many times more probable intrinsically than omnitheism. It follows from 1 and 2 that source physicalism is many times more probable than omnitheism. It follows from 3 that omnitheism is very probably false.
Okay, that's the end of your cross-examination. Hierophant, if you want, we can do one more round of cross-examination,
Sure.
or we can go straight to the conclusions. Up
I
to you.
do have a question on that position.
Okay.
So, in the subject matter, we're asking whether God exists subjectively,
Mhm.
and it's my understanding that it would be, at least it would infer in some degree, a singular God as being existent,
What would
rather
infer that?
than anything, and then anything else. So a singular source. So like, I could reject it simply on saying, well, I don't hold to an omnitheistic position.
Oh, I'm sorry. When I say omnitheism, I'm saying that the God in the hypothesis has the omni attributes. I should have
Okay.
clarified that.
Okay. All right.
Hmm. Do you want me to is it okay if I continue?
Yeah, you can continue. Thank you for the
Okay.
clarification.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, there's two contentious premises. The first contentious premise is that source physicalism is many times more probable intrinsically than omnitheism. Okay, and source physicalism is just the hypothesis um, that all entities are dependent on fundamental entities and forces that are described by physics. So it's just fundamental reality is just physical. Okay, um, and that hypothesis is um, more probable than omnitheism. Okay, and then how we get there is you compare two hypotheses, source physicalism and source idealism. Now, source idealism is basically symmetrical to source physicalism. It's just the idea that fundamental reality is just mental, and um, that the physical world um, what was caused by like some mental existence that's fundamental. Okay. And because these two hypotheses are very symmetrical, we have good reason to think that they are um, equally probable intrinsically prior to examining any evidence. Okay. And then um, because of that, now omnitheism is a subset of source idealism, which basically means that if um, omnitheism is true, then that entails that source idealism is true. But there are many cases in which source idealism is true and omnitheism is false. Okay, so
Mhm.
the prior probability of omnitheism is much lower than um, the source idealism hypothesis, which is equal to the probability of source physicalism. Okay, so that's how you establish that omnitheism is um, lower intrinsically, probabilistically to source physicalism. Okay,
Okay.
or do you have any questions?
Not yet.
Okay. Um, Now that's the support for P2. Now support for P1, which is the relevant evidence does not favor omnitheism over source physicalism. Um, Now this debate obviously is very short, so we wouldn't be able to examine all of the evidence, but we could just go over some and then see if the strongest theistic arguments would raise the probability of omnitheism enough. Okay, now before we examine any evidence, um, there is a fallacy that Paul Draper um, has coined called the fallacy of understated evidence. And it's basically if you successfully identify some general fact about a topic X that is antecedently more likely on theism than naturalism, but ignore other more specific facts about X that given F are more likely on naturalism, theism. And basically, it's to give an example, it goes something like this. Um, you have someone that was unalived, and um, you have a hypothesis that some person did it. Now, you have this general fact that this person. Oh,
Conclude your sentence.
okay. You have this general fact that this person um, uh, purchased a knife or a sharp object before around the time when the unalivement happened, and that would be expected on the hypothesis that that person did it. But if there's a more specific fact, like the sharp object or knife was actually a plastic party knife, well, then that specific fact would make it so that's not expected on the hypothesis that the person that did it. And just
All right.
to wrap it up, I'll just wrap it up real quick.
Okay.
Basically, the point is that a lot of the theistic arguments suffer from this fallacy, and that basically because of that, a lot of the probability of omnitheism would stay just as or be a lot lower than source physicalism. So it's omnitheism is less likely. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. So you're going to conclude our cross-examination with your 5-minute cross-examination, Yuji, and then after that we will proceed to conclusions. So you can start whenever you want.
This is a cross examination.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you're the last cross-examination to end round 2 of cross-examinations.
Um, okay, Hierophant, would you be okay if we just go straight to conclusions?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, we can go straight to conclusions. Hierophant, you could go first.
Uh, sure. In my opening statement, I gave a simple modus ponens towards contingency, followed by modus tonens, in support to the objective existence of God. I don't necessarily believe that my opponent has uh, provided an argument that is sufficient to break the simplicity of the argument provided. So um, that's my conclusion.
Okay, that's fine. We can conclude it there. And Yuji, do you want to do your conclusion? 2 minutes.
Okay. Um, I think I had a great time during this debate, and I hope everybody has a great night and you enjoy the rest of the debates. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, and we'll conclude there. I'll put a poll up. But no, this was an amazing debate. I appreciate both of you actually for taking time out of your day to come and contribute to this project that I'm working on. Um, but yeah, no, I enjoyed the debate. Like I enjoyed both of your contributions, and it was like an interesting debate. So yeah.
Everybody, make sure you guys follow the
Yes,
debaters.
you did a good job, you did.
Vote up
You
in the
too,
poll.
bro.
Appreciate you guys for joining
And
us.
yeah, the
Thank you,
poll is up.
guys.
Yeah, no problem at all. Both of you did amazing. I love you guys. Love you guys, and I love the contributions. And I enjoyed this debate just as much as I enjoyed all the other debates. I appreciate everybody for being here and contributing. All of you guys took time out of your day to contribute to this live. That was a project that me and OG Kylo released. The fact that there was like 108 people in here watching the live. The fact that we hit 101K likes all of that we're like really grateful for, and we appreciate like everybody. The community we made here is like really awesome. Really appreciate it. We can't do this without you guys. And this is like, this is the final hurrah before TikTok gets banned from America. And it's good to see everybody that's in here commenting and showing love, gifting everybody. This is a tight knit community, and I hope that we can all like choose an app to move to so we can keep in touch and like stay connected. But
It's
yeah,
a
you
Kylo
got anything to
versus
say, OG Kylo?
Kylo versus Coco. I'm sure I'll win.
Oh, yeah. Let's start a debate right now. Me versus you. I'm kidding.
What do we have next?
But other than that, we have our last debate tonight, which is going to be, if I check it's going to be Sir and Mob versus Slim and JD Wags on Did the Resurrection Occur? It's supposed to start at 11:18, but it is 11:07 right now. So we are about 10 minutes ahead. We got 10 minutes to burn. So honestly, anyone from the crowd can come up. I already have like 3 people coming up. 2 of them are the debate contestants, and 1 of them is a team.
Yo.